Amaka, under the influence of the spell, seems weaker each day, her eyes growing more hollow, her once bright spirit fading. That evening, Elder Nneka gathers her small group again. She shares her findings about the spirit of Vanity, warning the villagers that Adanna's actions are no longer in her control. With Amaka's life in danger, Elder Nneka urges them to act before Adanna sacrifices the girl's youth completely. They decide that confronting Adanna is their only option, even though it means facing the wrath of the spirit she has summoned. Under the cover of darkness, Elder Nneka and her group approach Adanna's home, hoping to talk her into abandoning the ritual and releasing Amaka. But Adanna, gripped by fear of losing her beauty and haunted by the spirit's voice, refuses to listen. Desperation flashes in her eyes, and she cries out, "You do not understand, this beauty is my life, without it, I am nothing." As they plead with her, Adanna's demeanor shifts. Her voice drops to a low, sinister tone, and her eyes flicker with the spirit's influence. She lashes out at them, warning them to stay away, or face the spirit's wrath themselves. Terrified but determined, the villagers and Elder Nneka realize they must break Adanna's connection with the spirit if they are to save Amaka. In the episode's final moments, Elder Nneka declares that she will perform a counter-ritual to sever Adanna's bond with the spirit. But there's one catch. The ritual requires Adanna's willing participation, a choice she may never make. The villagers look on in despair as Adanna, still under the spirit's grip, retreats into the night, her beauty and her soul slipping further into darkness. As dawn breaks, the village feels heavier, blanketed by an unnatural silence. Adanna has isolated herself, no longer emerging from her home to greet anyone. Shadows seem to linger around her house, and the villagers avoid it entirely, fearing the malevolent force that now clings to her presence. Her beauty, though still intact, seems to hold an eerie glow, more haunting than captivating. Inside her home, Adanna paces restlessly, her mind torn between her desperate longing to stay beautiful and the increasing dread of the spirit's demands. She hears whispers echoing in her mind, reminding her that without Amaka's youth, her beauty will fade, and she will be left an empty shell, both body and soul. Meanwhile, Amaka's condition worsens. Her family is beside themselves with worry, and Elder Nneka knows there is no time left. Amaka's youth and life are draining away, leaving her pale and lifeless. Elder Nneka prepares the counter-ritual, determined to save Amaka's spirit and sever Adanna's link to the spirit of Vanity. She gathers herbs, charms, and protective symbols, calling upon the strength of the ancestors.
That night, as the villagers gather in quiet support of Elder Nneka, Adanna senses the counter-ritual being prepared. She feels an intense rage rising within her, a dark fury that is not her own but that of the spirits. It drives her to Amaka's house, where she confronts Elder Nneka, demanding to know what she is doing. Her voice is filled with malice, and her once kind eyes now flash with the cold, ruthless glint of the spirit's influence. Elder Nneka, though frightened, stands her ground. She pleads with Adanna, reminding her of the kindness and love she once had for the village, and asking her to let go of the beauty that has cost so much. But Adanna, unable to face the idea of losing what she believes defines her, refuses, screaming that she would rather sacrifice anyone than lose her radiance. In a last-ditch effort, Elder Nneka places a protective charm around Amaka, creating a barrier that prevents the spirit from drawing any more of her youth. Enraged, Adanna tries to break through the barrier, her face twisting in desperation, her beauty warping with every attempt. Suddenly, Adanna collapses to her knees, clutching her face as it begins to change. Her skin loses its glow, and wrinkles start to appear, aging her in an instant. Her hair begins to gray, and her body weakens, as if years of her life are slipping away before everyone's eyes. The spirit's voice echoes around her, mocking her. Beauty was never yours to keep. Adanna, broken and horrified, reaches out to Elder Nneka, begging for help. She finally sees the truth. that her obsession with beauty has cost her everything she once held dear. Elder Nneka tells her that to be free, she must willingly renounce the spirit and face the natural course of life, aging with grace. In agony, Adanna agrees, and Elder Nneka performs the final rites, breaking the bond between Adanna and the spirit. The shadows dissipate and the spirit's laughter fades, leaving Adanna frail and ordinary. She collapses, her beauty gone, but a strange peace settles over her as she realizes the depth of her mistake. As the villagers watch, Amaka begins to recover, color returning to her cheeks and strength to her body. Elder Nneka comforts her, and the villagers thank her for her bravery in confronting the dark forces that had overtaken Adanna. Adanna sitting alone outside her home, watching the sunrise. Though she has lost her beauty, she is free, finally able to see beyond her own reflection. The villagers, though saddened, offer her forgiveness, and Adanna begins a quiet journey toward redemption, learning to embrace herself beyond what she once saw in the mirror. In the days following the ritual, the village begins to heal, but the scars of Adanna's choices linger. Though Adanna's appearance is now plain and aged, her spirit seems lighter, as if a burden has been lifted. She avoids mirrors, no longer tempted by her reflection, and focuses on rebuilding her life with humility. The villagers, though wary, gradually open their hearts to her once more, offering forgiveness and cautious kindness.
Adanna seeks out Elder Nneka, humbled and remorseful, asking how she can repay the village and make amends for the suffering she caused. Elder Nneka advises her to share her story honestly, to warn others of the dangers of vanity and obsession. Adanna agrees, knowing this is part of her healing, and begins teaching the young women of the village not about beauty, but about inner strength and resilience. Meanwhile, Amaka fully recovers, her spirit and vitality restored. She is confused about much of what happened, as if her memory of those dark days is foggy, but she feels a strange understanding and compassion toward Adanna. Adanna apologizes to Amaka and her family, expressing deep remorse for the suffering she unknowingly caused the girl. Amaka's mother, though cautious, sees the sincerity in Adanna's heart and offers forgiveness, a gesture that brings Adanna to tears. Despite the healing, the spirit of vanity has not fully left the village. Strange occurrences begin to trouble the villagers, whispers in the wind, eerie reflections appearing in pools of water, and flickers of shadow near Adanna's home. Elder Nneka senses that the spirit is not fully vanquished and worries it may return, seeking a new vessel. One evening, while Adanna is meditating near the river, she sees a faint figure in the water's reflection, the spirit, watching her with cold, mocking eyes. The spirit speaks, warning her that while she may have renounced her vanity, others will still fall prey to its lure. It tells her that as long as humans crave beauty and power, it will find new hosts, new hearts to corrupt. Terrified but resolute, Adanna speaks back to the spirit, declaring that she will devote her life to educating the villagers about true beauty and inner strength, so they may resist its temptations. The spirit laughs, vanishing into the water, but Adanna feels a sense of victory, knowing that she has faced it without fear. Adanna stands before the young women of the village, sharing her story, her struggles, and the consequences of her choices. Her words resonate deeply, and the young women listen with newfound respect for the woman who has gone from a figure of admiration to a humble guide. But as Adanna finishes her story, she notices a strange glimmer in the eyes of one of the young girls, a look she recognizes all too well, the beginnings of vanity and ambition. Adanna realizes that her work is far from over, that the spirit's influence will always find a way to seep into vulnerable hearts. Adanna dedicates herself to guiding the young women in her village, hoping to share the hard lessons she learned. She spends her days teaching them about self-worth, humility, and the importance of inner beauty. The villagers grow to admire Adanna, not for her appearance, but for her wisdom, kindness, and sincerity. She finally feels a sense of peace she had never known before, but the spirit of vanity is not so easily defeated. One day, a beautiful stranger named Chika arrives in the village, catching everyone's eye with her captivating looks. She shows a particular interest in the tales surrounding Adanna's past, and begins to ask probing questions about the spirit of vanity and the rituals used to summon it.
Adanna watches Chica with a wary eye, sensing the familiar hunger for beauty in her gaze. In a private conversation, Adanna warns Chica about the spirit, sharing the painful costs of relying on anything other than one's own integrity and character. Chica listens but dismisses Adanna's words, claiming that beauty is her right and that she'll do anything to preserve it. That night, Adanna dreams of the spirit again, mocking her, reveling in the chance to corrupt another soul. Adanna awakens with a sense of urgency, knowing she must do something to protect the young women of her village from following her tragic path. She decides to share her story openly, telling every detail of her encounter with the spirit, the curse it brought into her life, and the way it nearly consumed her. As Adanna's story spreads, the villagers gather, captivated by her transformation. They witness firsthand the power that the spirit holds over those who let vanity take root, and many are deeply moved. Slowly, they begin to recognize and appreciate beauty that stems from kindness, generosity, and inner strength rather than mere appearance. Adanna standing before the village, a humble figure who has found freedom in embracing her true self. She encourages them all to find strength within, to resist the temptation of vanity, and to remember that real beauty is found in character and heart. Chica, though initially dismissive, listens quietly from the edge of the crowd, her expression softened as if reconsidering her path. Moral lesson. The story of Adanna reminds us that true beauty is not something we can find in mirrors or magic. It is born from kindness, wisdom, and self-acceptance. When we allow vanity to take over, we risk losing ourselves and hurting those we love. Only by embracing who we are can we find true peace and happiness. Thank you for watching this captivating tale. If you enjoyed Adanna's journey and the lessons it offers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Join us on Camtoon for more powerful African stories that entertain, inspire, and teach. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on what real beauty means to you. See you in the next story.